welcome to the two-man power trip of wrestling and the latest podcast. I'm your host, JP John Paz. With me today, of course, is the former WWF head writer, the former WCW head writer, the former WCW World Heavyweight Champion, Mr. Vince Russo. Vince, what's going on? How you doing?
What is going on, John? How you doing, my friend?
Doing good. I feel
John,
like
Yankees, Giants, bro. Next 3 days. Yankees, Giants, baby. Here we go.
Yes, this is going to be good. It's going to be good.
Yeah.
I don't know how good the Yankees are going to be this year, but the Giants look really good. So,
So far, so good. We'll see what happens.
So this is an interesting time here in WCW because we're going to be talking about Spring Stampede 2000, which was April 16th, 2000, Chicago, Illinois at the United Center, 12,556. The taglines, the Stomp of Approval and the New Blood and the Millionaires Club in a savage shootout for the gold. Pay-per-view buys way up from last month. So it was only 70K last month, 115K this month. So everybody's interested in the New Blood Millionaires Club storyline.
Yeah, I think yesterday, bro, was the 25th year anniversary of that promo with me and Bischoff. I think that was yesterday.
Yes. Yes.
25 years, man. That's ridiculous, man.
Somewhat a surreal time period in wrestling, too, because no one thought they would see you and Bischoff together shaking hands in the ring and basically have the whole roster out there. And, you're going to lay out the game plan, or you're going to basically change WCW completely.
Well, they know going forward, they'll never see me and Bischoff together. But back then it was a big surprise.
Pretty crazy how that all came together. So basically, Brad Siegel brings you guys back at we've talked about this before, but there was no communication with Brad of what was going to happen. So when you come back, are you the head writer, though? Are you the guy in charge of the?
Well, see, you got to understand. You got to understand something. Eric Bischoff never wrote a show on paper in his life. I've written thousands of show on paper. That's where the work is, John. That's where you got to dot the I's and cross the T's. Going into commercial breaks, out of commercial breaks, you got to write down the dialogue. You got to write out the vignettes. You got to write the cliffhangers. That's the work, the actual writing of the script. Eric has never written a show in his life. So creatively, we were working together. But as always, I was always the one writing the final script.
So basically, you are the head writer, and as far as
let me put it to you this way, John. I was the head writer as far as I knew. Like I said, Brad Siegel's direction with me was, I want you to work with Eric. That was the direction that I got. And, where I stood was, I'll work with Eric all day if you want. But again, my deal says that I am the head of creative.
Gotcha. Okay. So is it fair to say that you and Ed Ferrara were going to be continuing the storylines during your absence? Since he, when you left, right, for that period of time, was it safe to say that Ed just continues on what you were writing, or just how does that work with Ed? How he stays there?
Well, that's the thing, bro. Ed continued on with the committee. So Ed and Sullivan and Nash, whoever was there, I don't even know. Bro, when I came back, Ed wasn't really involved creatively. It was I was pretty much doing this with Eric. I kind of had I don't want to say a little falling out with Ed, but you got to understand, John, it was a pretty hard pill for me to swallow when I brought Ed into WCW, and then when they played their political games and I went home, Ed stayed. So that created a little bit of a rift between me and Ed.
Okay, I got you. Because it does seem like Ed is staying there, but he's not really continuing on the Russo storylines of what you had before.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely not. No.
So you left WCW the first time because you didn't want to be part of the committee. What makes you come back this time?
I'm not part of the. I have no choice, bro. You got to understand when the first time when they said, we want you to be part of a committee, you're breaching my contract. My contract clearly states I am the head of creative. So I said, no, that's not what my contract says. So now when Brad Siegel wants me to come back, like I said, bro, all he's telling me is I want you to work with Eric. So I am the head of creative. I mean, like I said, bro, I went home for those 3 months because they breached my contract. When he called me back, I couldn't say no. I mean, I'm under contract to them for 2 years. So when he says I need you to come back, but I need you to work with Eric, I can't. If I say no at that point, I'm breaching the contract. I have no other choice but to go back.
Gotcha. Okay. So basically, it's not as far as it's not a committee. It's you're in charge. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's just me and Eric. I mean, at this point, I'm just meeting with Eric creatively. There's nobody else involved.
Why do you think they wanted to replace Sullivan again and have you in there? Is it because I'd like that they were tanking a bit?
The dog.
Right.
No, bro, where it was is, from in the 3 months when I was there, I think the last show WCW did before I got there was like a 2.6 or something. In those 3 months, we were pretty consistently getting it back up over a 3. After those 3 months, when Sullivan and the booking committee took over, bro, it went right back to where it started before they hired me. So they went right back to that like 2.6, 2.7 before they even hired me.
So who was worse, Bill Bush or Brad Siegel, in your opinion?
Oh, bro, they both. I would say probably Bush, because like Bush had no balls and he was an accountant and he wasn't pretending to have balls. I mean, you could tell he was a fish out of water and way in over his head. Brad Siegel, bro, was just what he pulled to get Eric and I to work together was just so wrong on so many levels. And again, bro, he was on the dark side of the ring when he was asked flat out, did you tell Russo one thing and Bischoff another? And his answer was, I don't remember. That's exactly what he did, bro. To this day, I don't think Eric is lying at all. I think Brad told Eric something completely different than what he told me. So with that being said, neither one of us from day one were ever on the same page based on what Brad Siegel told us.
So basically, you're the creative director again, as far as you know, as far as what Brad Siegel told you, the creative director. Yeah. How does it feel to be creative director? How are you feeling about that as you came back?
Bro. I don't care. Like, John, you got to understand something. At this point, I don't want to be there. I don't want to be there. But like I said to you, I am, contractually obligated to go back and do this job. So I could care less, bro. If people think I was waiting at home, I was sitting at home waiting to get that call back, you're out of your freaking mind. That was the last thing on my mind. I just wanted to kind of try to collect those checks every 2 weeks and never hear from them again. So quite frankly, I could have cared less about going back, but I was contractually obligated to go back.
So whose idea is the WCW reboot? Like, you're basically rebooting the whole thing instead of continuing on. You're rebooting it. Whose idea is that?
That was basically both our ideas. Me and Eric met together creatively, and the both of us, really talked that through.
Was that a bad idea in hindsight, or would you do it again? Did you like the idea of doing the reboot
I would do
and taking
again.
the titles?
Bro, I'm not gonna. No disrespect to Kevin Sullivan, but I'm not gonna pick up where Kevin Sullivan left off. I mean, we need to do this completely clean, and that was the best way to do it that way.
Why not keep the title on Sid Vicious? Like, I know you're stripping everybody of the titles. Was there a reason? It was a part of the reboot. You just don't keep the titles on the.
Yeah, bro. You can't strip everybody of the titles but one guy. You know what I mean? So you've got to make that clean sweep for the storyline to make sense.
There was no way you were going to keep all the titles. I mean, this is completely different. Never really been done before up until this point, where you're rebooting the whole thing, taking the titles off everybody. There's a new direction. There's new blood. There's the Millionaires Club. I mean, everything else is going to change. Literally everything is changing. Complete reboot. Is that crazy though? Like, should you have kept the titles on everybody and then just have them lose, or like, or no?
Bro,
There's no way you could do it.
yeah, you got to understand, like I said, man, I was there for the first 3 months. We got those ratings back over 3. I go home, Sullivan and crew comes back in, and the ratings went backwards to like 2.6, 2.7, whatever they were. We're not going to pick up on Sullivan stuff. I mean, we've got to wipe it. Now. If Sullivan's ratings were going up, okay, bro, we're going to look at what he's doing, and if stuff's working, we're going to continue it. But when they were going backwards in those 3 months, why are we going to continue what he was doing?
Gotcha. Before the reboot, Sullivan was teasing a Hogan Sid feud. I mean, is that something you would consider, or is something like, no, I'm not going that because that was not working? But it would seem like that was where he was headed, was Hogan Sid. Was that ever like consideration, or would you have done that?
Nah, I mean, maybe we eventually would have went there, but that's not something we were talking about from the beginning.
Let's say Bret Hart or Tank Abbott are the WCW champion and not Sid. Would you have stripped them as well? Because that was kind of the guys that you wanted to be champion.
No matter who
Oh,
it was.
it didn't matter. Okay.
No matter who it was, bro. Yeah.
Bro,
I was
your guy, Tank's your guy.
Yeah, I was probably the biggest Sid fan there. I mean, I love Sid. I absolutely did. So it didn't matter who would have been in those roles.
So basically, the reboot's going to change everything. So they kind of had that NWO 2000 thing. You kind of started it. They kind of kept it going a bit. Even they put the Harris twins in there with Jarrett. Is there a way you would have ended it without just rebooting it? Like, is there a way to end that, or you just said there's no real way to end it? We're just going to pretend,
bro.
Not that it didn't happen, but I'm just going to redo
John,
everything.
I swear to you, John, this is the God honest truth. In those 3 months when I went home, I did not watch one WCW show. So I literally had no idea what Sullivan was doing, where Sullivan was going. I had zero interest. So I'm honestly telling you, I didn't watch one single show that Kevin Sullivan wrote.
Basically, it doesn't matter if it was NWO 2000 or what it was. You're doing the reboot, and it doesn't. Who cares? Whatever it was, it's the reboot, and it's just going to go forward.
And I'm sure Eric wasn't watching those 3 months, so we never even saw anything that Kevin Sullivan did. All we saw were the numbers.
So when you're doing creative, right? Is Ed involved again, or is it just you and Bischoff, or how is it being done?
It's just me and Bischoff.
Wow. So what's Ed doing?
Bro, he's I don't know if he was still a talent at the time. It's just me and Eric. Like I said, bro, Ed and I had a little falling out, and I was probably wrong about that, bro. And I've told Ed I was wrong about that, and I apologize to Ed. But at the time, I was just seeing things much differently. It was just me and Bischoff.
So the Millionaires Club, which is, Hogan, Flair, Luger, Sting, all the guys that are quote unquote millionaires, the big stars, the older guys, the guys that had all the money, the Millionaires Club, if you will, perfectly named. Is that your Avengers idea coming back full circle there? Because remember
both
you had
I mean, both of us. Eric and I got together creatively, and we both came up with that.
Is that very similar to your Avengers idea that you wanted to do, where you put all the old guys together?
No, not at all. That was I think that was completely different.
Really? It seems somewhat, because remember, like you were saying, Piper was gone, and Hogan was gone, and
maybe, bro. When we're talking about this, maybe that's in the back of my mind. Maybe that's what I'm thinking, but I can't remember that far back to tell you exactly what was going through my mind at the time.
That original Avengers idea, was that literally just going to be legends just come back and legends
one by one they were going to form as this super team? And again, the thing I loved about it most was the heat that would have been within the team. These were all freaking guys with egos, with great careers that didn't all really get along. That would have been the interesting part of the angle.
So you're an on-screen character again too. That's a little bit different because you were the powers that be. You were kind of behind the camera. Technically, you're a character, but you're behind the camera. So how did it feel to really kind of be Vic Venom again, if you will, and be like an on-screen character? You're Vince Russo, the guy in charge.
John, I never enjoyed being an on-screen character. I never did. People can say whatever the freak they want. I'm too old to care at this point. And the main reason why I did not like it at all was it took away from, the duties I was responsible for. It took away from the writing of the show, and it took away from the producing of the show. It took away from that. And that's what I always did, and that's what I loved doing. I never, ever, ever for 1 second enjoyed being a character on TV.
So do you wish you almost were just not even not on, but do you wish you were the powers that be thing where you're kind of off screen? Do you wish that, or
I
just
wish I
not
wasn't
on
nothing.
at all?
I wish I wasn't anything. That was Sullivan's idea, bro. The powers that be was Sullivan's idea. I wish I would have never done anything. Bro, when I did Vic Venom at WWF, first of all, Vince caught me completely off guard when that Vic Venom thing happened, and he basically said to me, "Well, you think you can do better?" And I'm not going to say no. So I said, "Yeah, I think I could do better." Never thinking for a second the guy's going to say, "Well, show up at the TV studio tomorrow." It's not what I freaking thought. But that was totally separate. Like, that's a totally separate show. I'm talking about, man, when you're there, Monday night, Thunder, working in the trenches. You can't do both, man. You can't do both. And I hated the performing end of it.
So obviously there's going to be a complete reboot, like we said. There's going to be all new titles, not new titles, but new champions. So everything is going to be new. I mean, we're going to have all these tournaments. Do you think it's almost too many matches, too much like tournaments going on? Because there's going to be 14 matches on this pay-per-view. Was it too much to do all at once, or what was the thought process behind that?
I don't think so, bro. That's how it was back then, man. I mean, there were a lot of matches on the cards back then. There were not freaking 20-minute matches. I mean, outside of the main event going longer, that's just the way it was written back then. And again, bro, you got to look at the size of the rosters, man. There are so many people on the roster, and we're just trying to get as many people on the show as possible.
Do you think it's overkill though to have all the tournament finals be at the pay-per-view and you're going to have all the champions crowned at the show? Do you think you could have like spread it out a little bit more, or no?
John, if I would have thought that, that's what I would have done.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Yep.
we did that because at the time we thought that was the best way to do it. I guess probably, bro, so we could just move on. Let's just get it over. Let's reset the company, get it over with on this night so we can then move on.
It almost seems like you want to overload it too, maybe because you want it to be like a huge show. It's just like maybe a level of importance to the show, maybe.
Yeah, I always wanted to get everybody on the show. I always, because bro, when they're not on the pay-per-view, that's when, they're not happy and they start talking in the locker room. That's when all that shit goes down. So, I mean, John, I really did make an effort to keep everybody happy.
New blood, Millionaires Club, all new champions, Spring Stampede 2000, the pay-per-view hits. We had the intro, we had the video recap. They're showing you basically what happened with those groups, those factions, with you and Bischoff on Nitro. The pay-per-view intro hits. Basically, you, Bischoff, Kidman, and Tori Wilson are in the backstage area, and you're talking all about Hulk Hogan. Bischoff's fearing for his life. That you're doing the whole angle with Hulk and Kidman and Bischoff. So you guys are discussing that in the back. It's kind of interesting to me, and call me crazy on this, but Kidman compared to even you and Bischoff, he just doesn't come off as a big big star. I don't know. Even with Tori Wilson in the room, it's like
Yeah.
he's like the least most important person. He's supposed to be the most, the big star here.
Bro, I got to tell you, the funny thing is, bro, I agree with that 1000%. But the funny thing is, here we are 25 years later, and they all look like Billy Kidman.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of true. Yeah, definitely kind of true. But to me, I'm just like, I don't know. And I've heard, I think it was Bischoff was saying, or somebody saying like, oh, he's so charismatic. And it's like, he not really, not at all, really.
It was the comments, bro. It was the comments Hogan made online that I was just trying to take advantage of. You know what I mean? That's all it was. If Kidman would have never, if Hogan would have never said those things about Billy Kidman, that whole angle would have never happened.
Yeah, because I don't know. To me, I'm just like astonished at when Bischoff or people say like, "Oh, he was so charismatic," and the booking could have been. I'm like, I don't know. He got too much. I feel like that's Hogan's worst feud.
Listen, Billy was, again, I always steal Dutch's term. Billy was a good little hand, man. He was a great little hand, but no, he was not that charismatic guy. That just wasn't his game. I mean, not everybody can do everything. That just wasn't his game.
So the pay-per-view has Shivani, Mark Madden, and Scott Hudson as your announcers. We get a Russo promo as well. Do you think that, and we'll kind of get into this more, but do you think that you need to be such a big part of the show? Like you're in the backstage and you have a promo. You come out and you make the Lex Luger, Ric Flair match instead of 2-on-2 versus the Mamalukes. It's now 4-on-2, but you're the one that has. Do you feel like that you need to be on the show as much as you are?
John, we're resetting, man. I mean, it's a new day. Nobody knew who I was. We're establishing my character just like I would establish any character. I mean, no, I was never on TV before. Nobody knew who I was. Everybody knew who Eric Bischoff was. So if I'm going to be this authority character, you've got to establish that character.
So it's going to be the tag team title tournament. This is the semifinal match. It's Ric Flair in the total package, Lex Luger with Elizabeth, defeating the Harris brothers, Ron and Don, and the Mamalukes, Big Vito and Johnny the Bull, with Disco Inferno in 6 minutes and just about 10 seconds.
It's a three-way match.
Yes, but no, because it's technically 4-on-2. So it's kind of like you're really stacking the deck on Flair and Luger.
Got you.
But it's weird that the Harris brothers, Mamalukes, who were just feuding, are now like teaming up because they're trying to get rid of the old guard, if you will.
Yeah. So the old guard went over.
Flair and Luger do get the win. The Mamalukes and the Harris brothers didn't work well together as you would think. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They kind of cost each other there, but Flair and Luger go over.
That makes sense.
So you're really stacking the deck against Luger and Flair, but they do get the win.
Yeah.
So then Mean Gene is backstage with Mike Awesome. He attacks Bam Bam Bigelow. Then we get a hype video for Man Cow, believe it or not. So we're getting a hype video for Man Cow. Man Cow with Al Roker Jr., Turd, the bartender, the freak, all these weird like Howard Stern wannabe characters here, defeats Jimmy Hart in 2 minutes and 45 seconds. What is going on here? And we even get a Jimmy Hart promo too.
That's a PR thing, bro. That's the PR department coming to us and telling us we need to do this because bro, when you say Man Cow in 2025, nobody knows who the hell you're talking about. Man Cow back then was as big as Stern. So what the promotional department did was they made a deal with Man Cow so he would promote this show. And that was, part of the arrangement was he'd have a spot on this show. That's a 100% promotional piece, bro.
So obviously the show's in Chicago. He's big in Chicago, right? I mean, that's his market.
That was his market. Chicago, he was God in Chicago, bro.
Did you like him? I know you like Shock Jocks, and obviously you're a big
Stern.
No,
I never listened to Man Cow. I never listened to him, but I liked him. I mean, when I met him, he was a cool person. He was a huge wrestling fan, bro. After like WCW, he kind of contacted me and like we spoke for 5 minutes about like me being a writer on his show. He actually called me about that because
Wow.
he was a huge wrestling fan. Bro, he was a huge personality back then. Make no bones about it. Like I said, people are not going to know who he is today. Back then, he was huge.
Kind of interesting that he had his whole entourage out there. Jimmy Hart had Emery Hale, who's a kind of a big monster dude. He was out there with him.
Yeah, I remember that dude. Yeah.
After Jimmy Hart loses, of course, Mankind gets the win in his hometown. Kidman attacks him, basically taking a shot at Hogan. So kind of, really not. Really teasing something with Kidman and Hogan, continuing by having him attack Jimmy Hart as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
They go to the back. The third time you're on so far. We're pretty early in the show. Russo's yelling at the Mamalukes and the Harris boys. How did they screw that up? How did you not get the win? I set you guys up perfectly. Now I got to deal with Luger and Flair in the finals of the tag team title tournament.
Okay.
So then we have Scotty Steiner versus The Wall in a U.S. title tournament quarterfinal match. Scott Steiner defeats him by a DQ in about 4 minutes. The Wall ends up basically taking out the ref, and Steiner kind of instigated it. But basically, The Wall took out the ref and caused a DQ. So Steiner advances, and you keep in The Wall somewhat strong, I guess, because he didn't lose to Scott Steiner.
So did the New Bloods 0-2 so far, pretty much.
Scotty Steiner's technically, even though he says he's not New Blood, he is technically New Blood.
Okay. All right.
Because he's going to be a part of
the how do we know he's New Blood?
He basically says that he's not, right? And then he goes, but I'm definitely not Millionaires Club. So they're kind of saying Scott Steiner stands on his own. But we'll kind of find out later on where his allegiances lie, if you will. But he definitely says he's not with either. He's like, I'm on my own, like kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's great for Scott's character. I mean, that's who Scott Steiner is. That makes all the sense in the world to me.
And obviously, he wouldn't like Hogan and Flair and all those guys that he had all his promos on. Yeah. Mean Gene backstage with Ernest the Cat Miller, and he gets attacked by Bam Bam Bigelow. So earlier, Mike Awesome beat up Bam Bam, and now Bam Bam's beating up Ernest the Cat Miller.
Wait a minute. Mike Awesome attacked Bam Bam, and Bam Bam's attacking Ernest Miller. Okay,
yes.
I gotta figure out why, because I don't listening to it that way. It doesn't make sense. I'll see where it goes.
Here, it's crazy. We'll see if you like it or not. Mike Awesome up next. U.S. title tournament quarterfinal match. It's supposed to be Mike Awesome versus Ernest the Cat Miller. Bam Bam Bigelow takes Ernest Miller's place. So basically, Bam Bam really wanted in the match.
Okay.
Because Mike Awesome attacked him earlier. So it kind of makes sense.
Okay. All right. Yeah, now that makes sense. Okay. I got it.
But here's the only thing. So Mike Awesome defeats Bam Bam Bigelow in the tournament final, except he didn't. He pinned Ernest the Cat Miller, who came back out, took out Bam Bam, and then turned around and Mike Awesome took him out. So very confusing. Bam Bam replaced Ernest the Cat Miller, although Ernest the Cat Miller
replacing him kind of in his mind. I mean, that he didn't officially place him, so he beat the shit out of him, went out there, as a heel in the place of Ernest, and then Ernest, came back up. So I understand that.
And it was a little wonky because it was almost like I guess he didn't want Bigelow to get pinned, but then it was like too comedic. It came out like it was came out off a little goofy.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So basically, after before he lost, he was doing the dancing routine too. So it's even a little bit more comedy. They're like, okay, he just took out Bam Bam, but does he care about the U.S. title? Like even the announcers are kind of like, well, what? Why the hell is he dancing? And then Mike Awesome takes him out, and then he loses. So a little bit of comedy in there. I don't know.
Okay.
To me, it came off a little wonky.
Okay.
So then Russo again with Eric Bischoff and Kidman are backstage discussing how basically Kidman took out Jimmy Hart and Hogan's going to be looking for him and this and that. And Kidman kind of very cockily just shakes it off. He doesn't care. He wants Hogan.
Okay.
Then Mean Gene is with Buff Bagwell and Shane Douglas, who are going to be in the other tag team semifinal match. So you like the team of Shane and Buff?
Yeah, I do like that team. Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you have a straight Buff, Shane had his issues too, but those guys at the top of their game. Yeah, I like that.
So then we have Shane Douglas and Buff Bagwell in the semifinal match for the WCW World Tag Team titles. Shane Douglas and Buff defeated Harlem Heat 2000, Big T and Stevie Ray with Jay Biggs and Cash in just under 3 minutes. So short match there, but Shane and Buff get the win, and the Harlem Heat are arguing with each other afterwards. They kind of weren't getting on the same page. But then the final match is going to be Shane and Buff, New Blood, versus Millionaires Club, Luger and Flair.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
And you were kind of building it up on Nitro. The Flair's feuding with Shane, and Luger's is feuding with Buff too. So it all ties together with who they're really feuding with too.
Yeah.
So then we have Mean Gene backstage with Booker T. He's talking about this U.S. title tournament match, and he's talking about the Stinger. So next up, we have Sting defeating Booker T in about 6 minutes and 30 seconds to advance in the WCW United States Championship tournament. This is only a quarterfinal match, so there's going to be more matches for the U.S. title than there are for the tag team title. But really good match.
What was the finish of that match?
Basically, like, it was just a competitive babyface kind of back and forth. Booker T thought he had him. Sting slips back and gets him in the Scorpion Death Drop. So it was just a clean finish. Nothing too crazy, but they do have a sign of respect as well afterwards, kind of cementing that Booker T, while he might be New Blood in essence, he's a babyface, which kind of goes against most of the New Blood guys, because most of the New Blood guys are heels.
Yeah, got it.
Do you think that's the right way to go about it? Millionaires Club babyfaces, New Blood is heels.
No, not at all. I thought it was going to be the other way around. The fans decided that's the way it was going to go, bro. So we went with it. This was originally written with the Millionaires Club being the heels, bro. That's how this was originally written. But the fans were with the Millionaires Club, so we went with that.
So Mean Gene is backstage with Eric Bischoff and Kidman again, talking Hulk Hogan. So you're on the show like 5 times. Bischoff's on the show 5 times. Kidman's on the show 5 times. Is that too much? Is that overkill for like all those characters?
John, this is a television show. When you're watching Friends, do you say, "Oh, is Monica on the show too much this week?" It's a television show, bro, with the new characters on the television show, John. It's like any other freaking television show. Do you watch do you go to the movies and watch John Wick and say John Wick's in the movie too much? It's a TV show, man.
That's an interesting point there. I was thinking, not that I never watch Friends, but Seinfeld, of course, Jerry would be on.
Is Kramer on way too much, bro?
Right. No, yeah.
It's a TV show, bro. That's how I'm looking at it, man. It doesn't matter who it is. I mean, my God, when we did Vince and Austin, how many times were Vince and Austin on the show?
I never really heard you say that before. That's interesting, and that is pretty true. Yeah, like you would be, true. Yeah. Especially a guy like you're trying to get over, like Kidman. So you're really kind of putting him on.
Right. Yeah.
All right. That's fair. Vampiro is up next. U.S. title tournament match. Vampiro versus Kidman with Tor Wilson. Vampiro, which is actually another pretty good match, to be honest. Vampiro defeats Kidman 8 minutes and 30 seconds to advance in the quarterfinal. You know what happens? Hogan makes an appearance, comes out and destroys Kidman and helps Vampiro get the win.
Huge pop.
He did get a good pop.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool. All right. Okay.
And he came out in that black kind of like vest that he wore with the black pants.
Yeah.
Like that era of Hogan, where he's kind of not the traditional yellow Hogan. He's not the black and white Hogan. He's like in a weird FUB version of Hogan.
Yeah.
So Hogan basically is helping Vampiro defeat Kidman, like vanquishing him, but then Hogan really wants Bischoff, because remember, Bischoff's taking him out with the white Hummer and that whole thing. So he's after Eric Bischoff. He goes after him backstage. You run off, you get the cops, and the cops pull guns on Hogan. They literally pull out their guns on Hulkster, and he's like, whoa. So he stops from attacking Bischoff.
See, John, that's what you got to understand, man. You got to understand what my style of writing, and I do. It's the same style to this day. I'm writing a television show. So I'm sitting down and I'm writing this in real time as if this shit was really happening. That's how I'm writing this show. I'm not keeping track of how many times people are on TV. I'm writing a television show as this is what would happen in real time. So in other words, if Hogan is threatening Bischoff's life, what am I going to do? I'm going to find the police. The police. I mean, that's how I'm writing this show, bro. I'm not keeping track of how many times people are on the show. Why would I do that?
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
But Hogan's about to be arrested here, so it's getting real. Interesting with the guns too. Like they're pulling out their guns at Hulk. Yeah, that intense.
Yeah.
So Hogan obviously gets arrested. Terry Taylor, he's in the back. He tells Terry Funk that he could find Norman Smiley in catering. So next up, Terry Funk defeats Norman Smiley in a hardcore match for the vacant WCW Hardcore Championship. The match goes 8 minutes. Actually, to be honest, it's actually a pretty good match. It's actually kind of fun. And, they're doing all this crazy stuff and kind of can't go wrong with Funk and Norman Smiley.
I'm telling you, John, I swear, you brought up at the beginning of the show, there were 14 matches. And all I keep hearing is 8 minutes, 8 minutes, 8 minutes. Bro, that's plenty of time for a freaking wrestling match. Okay, man, because we're going to go to freaking WrestleMania and I'm going to be sitting here 20 minutes through wrestling matches that I know are fake and I know are not real and the guys are not fighting each other, but yet I've got to sit through 20 minutes of bullshit till I get to a finish. So with every match being 8 minutes, that's freaking perfect for a wrestling match.
So that's a Russo special. Short and sweet and move
that's
on, right? Trash
man.
TV,
exactly.
Short and sweet, move on. Keep it
Why are you wasting my time with a 20-minute wrestling match that is fake? I know it's fake, bro. What's the finish?
So then you are backstage again with Booker T. Booker, basically you tell him Booker owes you a favor, which I know is a big thing now in wrestling. Owes a favor. Back then, he said, Booker, hey, Booker, you lost the Sting. What the hell are you doing shaking his hand? We don't like the Millionaires Club. You owe me a favor.
Yeah, they're ripping off me from 25 years ago.
Yeah. Punk and Heyman are ripping Russo and Booker T off.
Yeah.
WCW 25 years ago. Yeah, crazy. So then we have Scotty Steiner in the U.S. title tournament semifinal match, defeats Mike Awesome by submission. Match is only 3 minutes and 15 seconds. I don't know. I feel like it maybe could have been longer in essence, but Nash comes out. Remember, Mike Awesome on Nitro took out Nash, so Nash is getting revenge. He takes out Mike Awesome, and Scotty Steiner ends up getting the win. Not necessarily Nash helping Steiner. It's more of he was getting revenge on Mike Awesome.
Yeah. It is so funny, bro, because, again, like I said, I haven't watched AEW for 4.5 years, but, I always hear who's on the show and stuff, and God, look at the people on this show compared to wrestlers you're seeing today. It's such a joke. It's I know it's been 25 years, but how we got from point A to point B, man, I have no idea, man. Look at the star power on this freaking show. And the star power on AEW is the Young Bucks. That's the star power, man.
Right. Yeah. What is the idea of some of the matches you have semifinals, quarterfinals, some of the matches you just have it's a vacant title and you just have one match for the title. Is there a thought process behind how tag team division or whatever, they are going right into the semis, the U.S. title tournament? Is there a reason?
There was no buildup of that. Well, I don't think we had a lot of time since how many weeks after we debuted is this pay-per-view? How many weeks after?
One.
See, we didn't really bro, we just want to get everything in place as soon as possible so we could just move forward. That's what we're trying to do, bro. We're just trying to reset this thing as soon as possible so we can go forward.
It does seem like you guys kind of have to hit fast forward too, because you're trying to get, you're rebooting it, but you're trying to, get where you guys need to get.
Yes,
in a quicker fashion than
this is a very, 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 very unique situation, bro. Maybe the only time in wrestling history that you saw something like this.
Absolutely, definitely.
Yeah.
And it was just so interesting because it was like, wow, it was very unpredictable because you just really didn't know where you guys were headed. Like you didn't
Yeah.
know who you were pushing, who you were, who was going to do this. Kind of, with Sullivan, obviously you knew, okay, Hogan's going over, Flair's going over. Like you kind of knew what, like the direction. They really weren't pushing a lot of the younger guys per se. Maybe the
Yeah.
Benoit thing kind of threw everybody for a loop, but you could see there was a certain predictability to it. It just
Yeah.
seemed like at this point, is that like the goal? Of like you want it to be completely like an old cowboy gunfight. It's completely open. Like anything can anything can happen.
Absolutely, man. Again, it's a television show. Like anything can happen on this television show on any given week. Yes.
So then we have Sting, and well, actually, before that, you are back with Booker T. He's kind of like your bodyguard because he owes you a favor, so you're bringing him with you. You go up to Dustin Rhodes and you fire him. What's up with this? Why firing Dustin Rhodes here? If you could,
I don't know what was the reason.
I don't know. Basically, he's sitting there and he's kind of for all intents and purposes, kind of with Terry Funk, who's kind of in the Millionaires Club. So he's kind of not making his allegiances with you. It's kind of the point. And you said to him, I created Gold Dust. I'm like, you like basically, Dustin, you owe me your career. I created Gold Dust. He goes, I was Gold Dust. I did it. He goes, you could say you put words in my mouth, but I actually did it. Like, he had to be the character. You were feeding the character, and you said, "No, I created the character." So you were just pissed at him that he's not aligning himself with you, and basically
Yeah.
Booker T is there as like your bodyguard as the favor he owes you,
And
just in
all
case he gets physical.
yeah, and all we're doing is setting Dustin up for the future. I mean, that's all we're doing.
I'm trying to remember when he comes back after this because I don't know if he's hurt or what happens, but he is gone for a bit after this.
Yeah, maybe he
I
is
think
hurt.
he's hurt.
I can't remember, bro. I don't remember.
I know he does come back and he ends up feuding with like Flair and Jarrett. This is many months later. He comes back, but here he's gone for a while. But that was just funny to me because it's like Booker is there begrudgingly, and you're taking shots at Dustin and you fire him. So definitely laying the groundwork.
Bro, that's how you get heat, which we don't have today. You got a main event happening in WrestleMania with Punk and with zero heat. There is no heat whatsoever. Whose ass do I want to see get kicked in that three-way? Whose ass, bro? Why do I care? I can't even come up with a reason of why I care or don't care that any of the three win. It's heat, bro. It's all about heat. We're building my character so people are going to want to see me get my ass kicked. That's what it's all about, man. That's wrestling.
It's funny. A few people, or a bunch of people, had mentioned. They said Russo always finds a way to bash, like on the shows with me. Like he always finds a way to bash the current product. Is that true? It seems like you definitely bash.
I don't
they're
know.
saying you always find a way to do that. Right?
I don't because it's right in front of you, bro. It's freaking right in front of you. I'm watching these shows, and I have as a television viewer, just like bro. If I'm watching Lost, okay. If I'm watching Lost, I got a million questions. Okay. It doesn't matter. If I'm watching this, I'm like asking the question, who do I want to win this match and why? That's the question that I'm asking myself. There's no heat. There's no heel. There's no stakes. I don't understand why I'm supposed to care about this match. I'm not going out of my way to ask that question. I just made the connection because, as you could see, you just brought up with me and Dustin and me and Booker. It's all about putting heat on the authority figure because you want to see these guys kick my ass. That's what it's all about. That's non-existent today, bro.
Speaking of kicking ass here, we have Sting in the U.S. title tournament semifinal match. Sting defeats Vampiro via submission in 6 minutes to advance in the tournament. So Sting is doing well here for the Millionaires Club as he beat Booker T earlier and he beats Vampiro here. Nothing really as far as Vampiro turning, but We will see Vampiro again, just to tease. We will see Vampiro again because he's not going to be happy with that loss. Then we have Mean Gene backstage.
That's the thing again. People don't want me to talk about today's show. Kiss my big fat ass. Because as John is laying out this show, whether you like this show or you hate this show, look at the thought that is being put into this show. Look at the thought that is being put in every single character. Think about literally writing this show out on paper and how long all of this would take. Then put on the shit show on Monday night that's written in 15 minutes and then compare that show to this show. That's what I'm talking about. Whether you like this show or you don't like the show, look at the freaking effort that is put into this show. The WWE, bro, just did a 3-way with Io Sky and Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley. Bro, they ran the same in-ring 3 weeks in a row. 3 weeks in a row, bro. It was the same exact freaking in-ring. So look at the effort that's being put into the shows today, and then look at the effort that's being put into this show, and then said to me, "Oh, Vince, why do you bury today's product?" I bury today's product, bro, because they don't give a shit. Okay, they know they got Netflix money, they know they got USA Network money, they know they got Saudi money, they know they got everybody's money, and they do not give a shit what they put on television. That's why, bro.
All right, laying down the law here, Russo. Love it.
There you go, John. Yeah.
So then we have Mean Gene in the back with DDP and Kimberly talking about Jeff Jarrett. Kimberly looking great. And he's talking about his main event match later on for the WCW World Heavyweight title. So that tournament was really set up on Nitro. So Nitro had basically that whole tournament basically set up. We could talk about that in a second. But so we have the finals for that. So then we have the WCW Vacant Cruiserweight Championship match. It's a 6-way. You have Chris Candido with Tammy Lynn Sitch, the artist formerly known as Prince IK with Paisley, Juventud Guerrera, Shannon Moore with Shane Helms, Lash LaRue, and Crowbar with Daphne. And it's basically just a 6-way match for the vacant WCW Cruiserweight title. Any reason why you didn't do a tournament for the Cruiserweights and just put them all in one match? Was that just maybe a time crunch or something?
Yeah, probably, bro.
To get them all on the show together?
This reset, there's just so many matches and so many things we have to put in place. It was probably just time constraints. I'm trying to think of who went over in this match. Crowbar?
The winner of this match is Chris Candido. He wins in 5 minutes and 10 seconds. So Candido ends up getting the victory here. And this is basically Tammy's debut as well.
Oh, you said Canyon, bro. That's what confused me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Chris Candido.
Yeah,
Candido.
I'm like,
yeah.
Wait a minute.
Sorry.
Why was Tammy with Canyon? Okay. Yeah.
No. Chris Candido. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Candido's the new Cruiserweight champion. He wins the vacant title. Tammy does help, and she does make her debut here.
Yeah.
Did you bring her in?
Did not. Yeah, I did. And they did not last long, did they?
No. Nope. He was great, but she was you could start to see here. She was getting a little out of shape. She's getting a little wonky.
Yeah.
You could start to see the cracks in the armor of Sonny here.
Yeah, well, they're nowhere near the cracks we see today, man. God, what a tragedy, man. What a tragedy.
Do you like Candido in this role? Because he's not like your flashy cruiserweight guy, but he's a great worker. They used to call him the cruiserweight bully. Like he could beat up the whole division kind of thing.
I do. I remember, man, bro, I saw Chris Candido for the first time, man, in Asbury Park. I swear to God, bro, it had to be like 1991. Like he was not on the main scene yet. And I saw him at some little small indie show and he blew me away.
Damn good. Damn good. So then Mean Gene is backstage with Jeff Jarrett talking about the world title match, and he's talking about DDP later on, saying he's going to win the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. So then we have Shane Douglas and Buff Bagwell with Vince Russo defeating Ric Flair and the Total Package with Miss Elizabeth in the tournament final to win the vacant WCW World Tag Team Championship. Match was actually pretty good, went 8 minutes and 30 seconds. That's
8
one thing.
minutes.
There was a bunch of good matches on this card.
8 minutes again, bro. 8 minutes.
Yeah,
8
there you
minutes.
go. Another 8-minute match. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, of course, they do win the tag titles thanks to you. You cheat, and then you even put the ref shirt on and make sure you count the 3 as the referee. So you're doubly helping them.
And you know why I do that?
Title.
I do that, John. I do that to put myself over, not to get any heat. I'm doing that to put myself over, bro. Yeah.
Now, when you're doing this, right? You're part of this match. Bischoff is signing off on it, though, right? So it's not just you putting yourself over. So
you know what? It's funny, man, because I swear to God, John, and I've never ever said this before. This is the first time I'm ever saying this. Bro, I can tell you this. When I was the powers that be, okay, that was pitched by Sullivan. That was a ripoff of Steinbrenner on Seinfeld. Okay, that was Sullivan's idea. I will tell you this, John. I would have never suggested myself be a character on television. I wouldn't have. That's not what I did. And I'm telling you, this is where people know, Vince Russo is a liar. I don't lie about shit, because here's where I'm telling you, I don't remember. Okay? I'm telling you, I don't remember. I don't even know how the discussion came about for me to be an on-screen character. That discussion was between me and Eric. That's when it happened. When we were writing these shows, it was decided that I was going to be an on-air character with Eric. That's when it was decided. I am telling you, I don't think I would have ever suggested that. So now, now what I'm thinking of in the back of my mind was that Eric's suggestion to set me up. Was that Eric's suggestion to tell Brad Siegel, look at him, he's putting himself all over the show, yada, 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 yada. Was I being set up by Eric suggesting I be on the show in the first place? Because, John, I'm telling you, and I'm going to tell you, bro, quite frankly, I don't give a shit if you believe me. I don't give a shit if anybody believes me. 2 things happen in my career, bro. There are 2 things that happen. Number one, I never even had the idea of being a television writer. Never, ever, 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 ever. My video stores went out of business. I needed a job. Based on my education, Linda gave me a job on the WWE magazine. I was set for life. I had a writing job for the magazine. My journalism, my degree was in journalism. I loved writing. My sights were never on writing television, ever. I knew nothing about writing television, okay? Never. Number 2, never at any point did I want to put myself on TV. Never whatsoever. And if you don't think that is true, okay, bro, how many opportunities did I have? I'm writing the show at TNA. I can put myself on the show at any freaking time. Now, I was on TNA. I was on the show for the early years because, bro, we had so many talents that nobody knew. They didn't know, nobody knew AJ Styles in 2002. And Jeff needed me to be an on-air talent to help get these younger guys over. If you remember who managed AJ Styles, it was me, because nobody knew who these people were. Once I left TNA, bro, when I did that thing with Dusty, we were competing to see who the commissioner was going to be, and I lost and I left. Bro, when I came back, I never was on the show again. I was never on the show when Bischoff and Hogan were there. If I wanted to put myself on the show, I would have wrote myself into the show. That's what people don't freaking understand. So I never had any ambition to be a television writer. I never had any ambition to be an on-screen character. Never, bro. Those things just organically happen. Why? Because for whatever reason, bro, they were supposed to happen. You freaking God is the author of my autobiography. You can ask him why that happened. I never pushed for either one of those things.
Wow, laying down the law today. You're all fired up.
I'm so tired of hearing the freaking narratives and the bullshit like people think they know me. You don't know shit about me, bro. What do you think? I'm an egomaniac that I wanted to be on a wrestling show, and to add insult to injury, I want to put the title on me. It's such a ridiculous freaking narrative that I am absolutely sick of hearing. And now when I think about it, I am asking myself the question, did Eric set me up to be able to bring a case to Brad Siegel? I don't know. Maybe.
I'm going to have to ask Eric. Interesting. I never heard anybody ask
Go
Eric.
ahead and ask him. Ask him. Because I'm telling you, I'm not going to sit there and suggest putting me on TV. I'm not going to do that, bro.
Gotcha.
As a matter of fact, bro, I wrote my exit from TV. I remember the specific episode. We were in the Cow Palace in San Francisco, and I handed Mike Sanders the keys. And I said, you are in charge. Why would I have done that? Why would I have done that? I wrote that. I handed over the keys. I was done with it. It was over. Why would I have done that, bro, if I was this egomaniac that wanted to be on TV?
Okay, gotcha. All right, so then let's finish this pay-per-view off. Mean Gene backstage interview with Scott Steiner and Sting. Then we have Sting versus Scott Steiner for the vacant U.S. title. This is the tournament final match. Scotty Steiner defeated Sting by basically knockout to win the WCW vacant United States Championship match in 5 minutes 30 seconds. Really good match for the time that it was out there. Vampiro came out from under the ring, turned heel, beat up Sting, and then basically helped Scott Steiner get the win. So Vampiro, who lost his Sting earlier, cements himself as a heel, cements himself as the new blood, helped Steiner win, really much more so to take out Sting and create the Sting-Vampiro feud. The former tag team partners, brothers in paint, no longer.
Got you. Yeah.
You like Scotty Steiner as the U.S. champ?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Then we get a hype video package for a DDP versus Jeff Jarrett for the WCW World title. Talk about the qualifying matches, which were on Nitro. Basically, Diamond Dallas Page defeated Lex Luger. Sting defeated Sid via countout. Then DDP defeated Sting. Jeff Jarrett had a bye, and he wrestled Kurt Hennig and beat Hennig, which then leads to here, DDP versus Jeff Jarrett. Basically, you did the tournament on Nitro, and here's the final. So Jeff Jarrett defeats Diamond Dallas Page with Kimberly for the vacant WCW World Heavyweight Championship. Really good match, probably match of the night. Match went 15 minutes too, so you gave it the most time of the night. He basically is the new WCW champion, world champion, first time in his career, thanks to not only Eric Bischoff's interference, but Kimberly Page, who turned on DDP and hit him with the guitar. So we think about that. Kimberly turns. That's Bischoff awesome. Bischoff helps. And they were kind of teasing that Bischoff is still friends with DDP, but obviously not, because he turns on him too, and Jarrett wins.
That's how you leave him, bro. That's how you leave him. And now I'm watching Monday night.
Do you like Jarrett as the world champ? The first
Absolutely.
Time
and I've said why before, bro. I've said why before a million times. Number one, Jeff Jarrett never got hurt. Number two, Jeff Jarrett was a great wrestler. And number three, Jeff Jarrett was a great heel. Jeff Jarrett was a great heel throughout his entire career, and great heels get baby faces over. Absolutely 1,000%.
So Bischoff's out there. Kimberly's out there. Jarrett's got the belt. Russo comes out, Candido comes out with the Cruiserweight Championship. Scott Steiner comes out with the U.S. Championship, finally kind of cementing that he's a part of the new blood, even though he kind of said he's not. But he came out with the U.S. title. He doesn't seem chummy with everybody. But he was definitely basking in the glory of all the wins. Shane and Buff are out with the tag team titles, and you're all out there celebrating, obviously with Bischoff and Kimberly too, all out there celebrating as the new blood reigns supreme. The only belt that does not belong to new blood right now is the hardcore title, which is held by Terry Funk, who beat Norman Smiley earlier. So New Blood Millionaire Club kind of off to a hot start here, and a lot of heat on the new blood.
Yeah. What's that? What is heat?
Oh.
Is heat a thing? I'm not familiar with that term. When I watch wrestling today, what is heat? I don't understand heat. Is heat wrestlers crying in the ring? Is that heat? Punk crying because he's in the main event? Is that heat?
I don't know. I feel like all these heels, everybody is going to, every fan wants them to get their ass kicked because they're tired of these heels.
It's all about
reigning supreme.
It's all about heat, bro. It's all about heat, and heat is what's missing from wrestling today.
Was there anybody else considered besides Jarrett to win the title and win the tournament?
God, bro, I don't think so, man. I don't think so. Yeah.
And did you think this tournament was better than your first tournament that you did for Mayhem, or was Mayhem better? It was a 32-man tournament. This is only an 8-man tournament.
I would say this one was probably better, bro, because we're setting the stage, man. I mean, it really is a new day and it really is a new beginning. So this one probably was. I mean, bro, you lay out this show to me. I want to watch the show.
It's not bad, to be honest. Yeah, I know there's a lot of matches, but it's not bad at all. It's actually a pretty good show. There's actually a bunch of good matches. I like the main event a lot too. I think the main event was great.
Yeah, I would definitely want to go back and watch this show.
So thumbs up on that one. Nice. So let's wrap it up